This video is sponsored by Milanout. More on that later. I have been reading this book, The Creative Act, A Way of Being by Rick Rubin, and I think this book is more of a philosophical side on creativity. I don't think not many people will be able to relate to it, so I will try to put it in a practical way because this isn't a conventional how-to creativity manual. Instead, it's a reflective and philosophical guide on what creativity is, how it flows, and what blocks in. The book emphasizes that creativity isn't just about finished works, it's a way of perceiving and being in the world. Rubin approaches creativity as something that is present in everyone, not just formally trained artists. Creativity is also something that is about bringing something into existence, even in simple daily actions. And it is also something that flourishes when we remain open, aware, and engaged. He is talking about the philosophical and the psychological side of being, and you're psychologically awakened. When you do that, I think you will be able to be not stuck in fear or delay. What does inertia is the death of creativity means? While the creative act doesn't appear to contain that exact phrase, the idea is deeply consistent with Rubin's core message: creativity requires movement, action over stagnation. Rubin stresses the importance of completing work and continuing forward momentum. Stagnation, when we hold back, avoid finishing, or delay, blocks the creative energy that wants to flow through us. Rubin talks about how ideas finds their way to expression, but if you don't bring them to life, someone else might. The implication, waiting. Waiting is also inertia. Like clinging to a first draft can freeze the creative process. This is essentially creative inertia. In other words, not acting, staying inert interrupts the movement that brings creative impulses into reality. And I think I'm able to understand why he says if you don't bring them to life, someone else might, because just because you come up with an idea doesn't mean that it belongs to you. This idea has been brought to life to be executed. If you don't do it, someone else might. So that is a profound knowledge that I gained. And creativity dies when you don't move. Inertia simply means resisting changes in its state of motion or rest. It can also be stuck in the same routine or loop when your creativity demands growth and you resist to take it to the next level. It can also be stuck in the same routine or loop when your creativity demands growth and resist to take it to the next level. And it's not just subjected to creativity, it is also our daily habits, patterns, and routines that actually influences our work, our personal life, and everything. So I just got the wedding invitation of Kevin and Liliana. So they are my friends. So I did not open this invitation at all. I'm gonna take a look. Okay, this looks so good. I mean, if I just keep it in my desk, it's going to work along with my aesthetic. So I'm not gonna throw this invitation away for sure. Looks too good. Anyways, so I've been meaning to gift him a good painting of him and his wife for the wedding celebration. But guess what? Kevin is right here. He's not able to spare even 20 minutes with me, along with his wife, for a good photo. If he had spent some time with me, I would have done an amazing job in setting the composition for the painting, because the existing photos that I've been getting from his friends and relatives, it's not actually going to work in the fine art world. But the good thing is that I actually got a good reference image from his wedding registration that has happened already. So today is Monday 15th. And the wedding celebration is happening on 18th. So we literally have like 2 days. And I have a very limited time. I don't know how I'm going to do it. Let's go. Think of creativity like breath. You don't want to feel ready to inhale. You move first, the life follows. I learned that the brain learns stillness faster than inspiration. The longer you delay starting, continuing, or finishing, the brain rewires itself for avoidance, not creation. Inertia becomes a habit. That's why waiting for motivation kills creativity. Motivation is the result of movement, not the cause. From reading his books, I learned about this, and that is treating one work as if it defines you forever will freeze you. Perfection feels productive, but it's just fear staying still. These days,
Oh
I
my
need to
goodness.
remind myself that creativity needs permission to be unfinished, imperfect, and temporary. So, in simple words, inertia demands certainty. Creativity thrives in
Trying to
uncertainty
make
and not
a
perfection. So, this
landscape
way,
painting out
you
of
will
this.
not let any project to
This
be
one is a
dragged.
bit expensive. It pinched my pocket, but look at that. That is pretty heavy, but it's going to look very good for a landscape painting.
When I start a head sketch, I'm not thinking about likeness first. I'm thinking about structure. A portrait works only if the foundation is right. Everything begins with the big shapes, the skull, the tilt of the head, the angle of the jaw. Before eyes or features, I place the mask first. If the head is leaning, the center line must lean too. That line tells me where the face is turning and how the features wrap around the form. Next comes proportion, where the brow sits, how far the nose drops, where the chin lands. I don't measure to be perfect. I compare relationships of one formed another, and portrait drawing is about relative distances, not exact numbers. Then I think in planes, not outlines, but actual planes. The forehead faces light differently than the side of the head. The cheekbone breaks the light, the jaw turns away. When you draw planes, the face starts to feel three dimensional even before shading. Only after that do I place the features. Eyes sit inside the skull, not on the surface. The nose is a structure, it is not a line. The mouth wraps around the teeth and the jaw. I keep the sketch loose at this stage. Details come last because details don't fix weak structure. This approach keeps the drawing alive. It prevents stiffness and overworking. A head sketch isn't about copying what you see, it's about understanding what you're looking at. When the fundamentals are solid, likeness happens naturally, and when the foundation is right, the portrait can breathe. So, I wasn't able to make a painting. Those need time to dry, planning, and they don't always go as expected. So, I stuck to sketching instead. The reference was so good that I could find the planes and placements perfectly. I enjoyed it so much that I now want to do another sketch offer for myself and keep it in my personal collection. I couldn't sketch Kevin because time was short and I received an emergency call, so I had to stop and gift only her portrait. I had to put a division and cut it off and frame it. I'll definitely sketch him later and gift it to him. I also see this as a beautiful moment where two individuals is in the same place, coexisting in solitude while staying grounded. Liliana loves solitude, and that's something I deeply admire because I love solitude too. Like I love solitude. In that way, this sketch becomes a quiet and meaningful representation of that shared space. So this is what I understand. Inertia feels the inner critic. Silence gives it a microphone. Action drowns it out. Think of creativity like breath. You don't want to feel ready to inhale, right? You move first, the life follows. The brain actually leaves stillness faster than inspiration. The longer you delay starting, continuing, or finishing a project, the brain rewires itself for avoidance, not creation. Inertia becomes a habit. When you look back, you will realize that inertia has become a habit and you could have done it differently. You could have changed the pattern. So I'm continuing this painting where I left off. I'm starting with the dress area first because that helps me judge the colors and values for the face more accurately. A subject's color, is always influenced by the surrounding hues. So filling the canvas early is very important, especially when you don't have a strong reference and you're painting from imagination like this one. So now the main issue I ran into with this piece is improper planning. I nailed the composition, but I didn't think through the color of the dress. Since I am not using a reference, that became a problem. So I paused, I went back to studying old masters and contemporary artists, and of course, Sargent. He is my absolutely favorite old masters. So his brush strokes flow like butter on warm bread. I don't know how else to describe it. What separates one artist from another is what they choose to emphasize and what they choose to suppress. Those decisions must happen at the block and stage. If you record every little fact, the whole painting becomes stiff and pointless. So, to rethink the dress color and compare my painting with old masterworks, I needed a place to gather everything: references, color swatches, fabric studies, notes, and that's where Melanote comes in, who's also the sponsor of today's video. I have actually been using Melanote long before this. It is an online visual workspace made for creatives like us. For this painting, I created a full project board. Inside it, I have separate boards for research, my mood board, just for studies. Their board nesting feature makes complex subjects feel clean and organized. My mood board holds the emotional direction of the painting, to save old masters paintings, especially Sargent, along with their drapery references and different color harmonies. Everything lands in one place where I can visually compare them. Because Milanote is visual first, arranging things feels intuitive, like moving pieces around in my studio. You can also use the Milanote's sharing feature to send the board for feedback to your clients. Everything updates in real time. I also love their mobile app when I'm not in the studio and when I'm outside, and something suddenly inspires me, like a fabric, a face, a lighting situation. I can just instantly add it to my board and it syncs to my desktop. And honestly, almost every creative person I know could use this. My friends who are video editors, photographers, interior designers, architects, aquascapers, UI UX designers, website designers, content creators, fashion designers, game designers, the list just goes on, you name it. And honestly, I think everyone is creative in some way, even if you're not in a professional field. If you're designing your space at home, planning a room layout, organizing ideas, journaling, visually, anything, you can just use Melanote for that. And the best part is, you can start using it completely for free. So, if you want to plan your next creative project in a visual, intuitive way, sign up for a free Melanote account using the link in my description. Unfinished work doesn't kill creativity, leaving it completely does. There's a difference between pause and stopping. It's okay to pause a project. A pause means you're still connected to it because you are actually using that pause to identify the underlying problem for why you're being stuck. And then there's stopping. Stopping is different. Stopping means you have emotionally walked away from that piece or project. That's what inertia is: disengaging. When you stop touching your ideas, they stop engaging, they stop changing, you stop noticing subtle things. Inspiration doesn't come as easily. It's not that ideas disappear, they just stop responding. Rick Rubin often inside this truth: ideas grow when you give them attention. Even small attention, like revisiting, adjusting, thinking while doing, keeps them alive. So pausing is rest, but abandonment is silence. And creativity doesn't die from rest, it dies from being ignored. Rick Rubin says finishing isn't the goal, continuing is. So, this is something that I learned from this book, and it's so philosophical. It's for all creative people, but you need to really pay attention when you read this book. And finishing can create pressure, continuing creates freedom. As long as I'm engaged, touching, adjusting, responding, creativity stays alive. This isn't about productivity, it's about momentum. Actions. It needs to have constant attention and momentum. Because creativity doesn't die from unfinished work, it actually dies when we stop showing up. And this is how I make sure that doesn't happen. Creativity isn't a single moment of inspiration, it's not something that happens once in a while, it's a practice. If creativity were only about results, finished paintings, finished projects, perfect sketches, big wins, most artists would give up early.
This is also a form of art that I would like to support, be it a large website that is trying to sell off these things or a small business, whatever it is. I would love to support if I like the design. This looks so pretty. Uh, Something, I don't know, the child version of me would love. See, what I like might not be liked by another person. My mom said this girl actually looks creepy. I don't know, I just find this to be so pretty. It would actually look good on that spot.
So, stretching multiple canvases in advance is very important, and this is something that I've never done before. It is to never let inertia win because inertia doesn't shows up as laziness, it shows up as friction. It's that moment when you feel inspired but the canvas isn't ready, the space isn't set, and the energy slowly leaks away. So, I prepare ahead of time. When inspiration hits, I don't want logistics slowing me down. Creativity is sensitive, it arrives quietly and it leaves quickly. If I have to stop and set everything up, my mind switches from feeling to planning, and that's usually where creativity fades. This is something that I noticed recently. When you have multiple canvases pre stretched and it is ready right in front of your eyes, you'll be able to quickly move on to the next painting. But this is something that I did not follow, so that's why I am removing obstacles before they appear. So, moving forward, I need to be working on two or three paintings at once, especially when it comes to larger paintings. I'm scattered, but because creativity doesn't move in straight lines, it actually moves in waves. Some days I have clarity for one piece, other days another painting will ask for attention. While one piece rests, another one breathes. So, rest isn't abandonment, it's incubation. When I step away from one work, my mind keeps processing it quietly in the background. Meanwhile, working on something else keeps my hand moving, and that movement keeps me connected to the creative state. You are not what you say you'll do, you are what you do. This is something that I am trying to understand and implement in my own creative field as well as in every other field of my life. Rick Rubin reframes it as a way of being in the world. That means creativity lives in how often you show up, how closely you notice, and how willing you are to engage, even when nothing impressive happens. When you stop practicing, something subtle changes. Your awareness fades, you stop noticing small relationships, shapes, ideas. Curiosity dulls. You begin to consume more than you create. And slowly, without realizing it, your identity as a creator weakens. This is how inertia works. It doesn't attack loudly, it quietly erodes your confidence in being someone who creates. There's also a big difference between motion and stillness. Motion creates feedback. When you act, the work responds. You see what's working and what isn't. You adjust naturally. Intuition sharpens because it's being used. Stillness does the opposite. Creativity doesn't grow from thinking alone, it grows from response, from doing something and letting reality answer back. You don't need to feel ready to practice creativity.